2026 is seen as a really key year within Formula One circles, for the simple reason being that is the year that the new engine regulations will kick into force, and more importantly, you will be seeing more engines joining, because Formula One in recent times has been making a concerted effort to lure back automobile giants into the fold after years of there being a manufacturer decline or a shrinking in the number of engine makers on the current circuit. And truth be told, that has worked out to some degree, because of course Audi, we know, has signed up for the regulations, and it does seem likely that Honda, who have technically exited the sport but are still supplying engines to Red Bull, will also be joining back. But of course not with Red Bull, because Red Bull, remember, confirmed a deal with Ford, who will be helping out in the construction of the new Red Bull powertrains engine. But where does that leave Honda? Leaves them seeking out a move to an old friend / foe, McLaren. Now, of course, anyone who hears the words McLaren-Honda can have two reactions depending on the age group that you fall in as far as being a Formula One fan is concerned. The first one will be, oh man, that's a coming together of two major giants who dominated at one point. The other could be, wait, they really want to work together after what happened the last time they worked together? That being said, the reason this union is supposed to be taking place is because, well, we'll get to the reasons in a bit. And first, let's talk about what exactly has been reported, how exactly this could play out, and why it's coming as such a shock to many. And more so, why is it that many are still taking it with just a little bit of optimism? So let's actually delve deeper into this issue. First off, it is worth noting that as of yet, there is only speculation that McLaren and Honda will in fact be reuniting and joining forces to become one team. Initial talks between both teams have taken place, and that's especially so since Honda are looking for options in the 2026 calendar season. Because again, with Red Bull now out of the equation, Honda are interested still in an F1 comeback, but with Red Bull no longer there, it means that they're going to be looking for a new team to partner with, and McLaren was very well going to most likely be that team. It's not like they have other options, but with this news leaking, it does at least seem that there's concrete talks between both teams. And as I said, you'd have two reactions. You'd either be harking back to a glorious past, or you'd be surprised considering the recent history. What is that recent history? Well, let's quickly go into that. These two teams last worked together in the 2015 season and then ended their alliance in 2017. The reason for this was that in the 2014 saw the start of the turbo hybrid era, and McLaren, then under the ownership and stewardship of Ron Dennis, wanted to be a works team rather than a customer team. So Honda were making engines exclusively for McLaren, but due to the rather rushed nature of that project, results were often poor. The engine was not at all reliable. When it was fast, it would blow up. When the revs were lowered, the car just couldn't compete. And in fact, there's a very popular clip where Fernando Alonso was on team radio blasting the engine as being a GP2 engine. GP2 was back then what Formula 2 is now. It's essentially the same thing. And what's worse is that their split came way earlier than expected, and there was a massive breakdown in their working relationship. In fact, most people thought that would be the end of Honda in Formula 1 in this iteration, but to Honda's credit, they took on a partnership with the team then known as Toro Rosso, now known as AlphaTauri. At first, that relationship worked out so well that they actually ended up signing on with both the Red Bull teams, and now, well, they've won two World Drivers' Championships and one Constructors' Championship with Honda engines, even if they've been bashed as Red Bull powertrains engines for the 2022 season. So clearly, Honda have actually come a long way since this, and if this reunion has to actually happen, most McLaren fans will be hoping that it's similar to the first time that these two teams got together, all the way back in the late 80s and early 90s. How exactly did that play out? Well, bit of a refresher if you don't know this already. First off, McLaren and Honda were forced. In fact, McLaren were using works Honda engines from the 1988 season to the 1992 season. The reason this partnership came to an end is because Honda, to the surprise of no one who's followed Honda in Formula 1, pulled out of the series and didn't come back until a few years later. At that point, there was a bit of an economic recession in Japan. Honda decided to prioritize the company rather than racing. But that was a very glorious era of success for McLaren and Honda. They won 4 Drivers' Championships and 4 Team Championships, all of which came in the years 88, 89, and 90. 1991. In fact, in those 4 years, of those three of those years, the title was won by Ayrton Senna. One of them was won by Alan Prost when he was also driving a Honda-powered McLaren, just as Senna was. That's just how good these cars were. They were a class apart from the others, and the two drivers with Honda engines were fighting amongst each other for the title. That's just how good this partnership was. And if you're a fan of, as I said, McLaren, and you want them to become a works team rather than a customer team, currently they're using Mercedes engines, but that's not like the McLaren Mercedes deals of the 90s and early noughts. This is just a customer engine deal. So generally speaking, in Formula One, there's a belief that you can't be winning world titles as a customer team. And truth be told, there haven't been that many teams who have been customer teams that have won a title. Red Bull were one of the last to do it. Braun GP did it in 2009 when they took on Mercedes engines as a customer team. But generally speaking, you have to be a works team to be winning a title. And despite the fact that this man here, Zak Brown, has said in the past that McLaren don't need to be a works team, it's quite clear that they're exploring the option. And if you're McLaren, you'll be hoping it works out a lot better than it did from 2015 to 17 and works out a lot more like the years from 88 to 92 when the team enjoyed unparalleled success for a period of 4 years. What do you guys think? Do you think it's a union that will make sense, or it's just a case of two teams scrambling towards each other because they have no better options? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell icon so you know when it is we're going live or uploading a new video, and also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Last but not least, don't forget to download the AajTak app. Thank you all once again for joining us. If you're already on the channel, go ahead and check out some more videos we've done through the day. For now though, goodbye.